It's time for another Dice Tower review with John Richard.
Howdy gamers, greetings from Indianapolis, Indiana, the gaming capital of the world. It's time for another board game review with me, Indiana John. Today we're going to be taking a look at Sushi Go, the 2 to 5 player card drafting game from Game Right Games. Now, card drafting games recently have increased in popularity due to excellent games like Seven Wonders and Fairy Tale. Seven Wonders actually won the inaugural Kennerspiel des Jahres back in 2011. This game is a much lighter game, and it's about collecting sets of sushi elements to have the most wonderful sushi meal at the end of the game. Plus, it has all these wonderful little cartoony pictures of sushi that are, I guess, smiling at you even though you're about to eat them. So that's kind of weird. But could a game like this be any fun? Let's find out. The components of Sushi Go are very simple. It's just a deck of 108 cards. There are 8 different kinds of cards, and we'll get into that in just a minute. At the beginning of the game, everybody's going to get a certain number of cards based upon the number of players. It's anywhere from 7 to 10 cards in their hand. Each player will take a look at their hand, and will select one card from their hand and place it face down, and then reveal simultaneously, and then play the card in front of them. Then they'll take the rest of their hand and pass it to either the left or the right, depending on which round it is. And then, of course, they'll receive another hand of cards from their player adjacent to them. They'll look through those cards, they'll select a card, and then play it in front of them. This is the entire mechanic of the game. So, what are we trying to do here? You're trying to score the most points by creating combinations of cards in front of you, and that is where the 8 different kinds of cards come into play. So let's take a look at those 8 different kinds of cards. First, let's take a look at the nigiri cards. These are 3 different cards, the egg nigiri, salmon nigiri, and squid nigiri, worth 1, 2, and 3 points respectively. That's pretty straightforward, but there's a way that you can modify the value of these nigiri cards. If you play a wasabi card first, and then on a later round you play a nigiri card on top of it, then it's going to multiply the value of that nigiri card by 3. So in this case, this squid nigiri, which is normally worth 3 points, is going to be worth 9 points. The dumpling cards will give you points for having multiples of the same card. And there's only one kind of dumpling card, but if you have one dumpling card, it's going to be worth 1 point. If you have 2 dumpling cards at the end of the round, that's worth 3. 3 dumpling cards is worth 6. 4 is worth 10 points. And 5 dumpling cards is worth 15 points. Next, you have the tempura shrimp cards, one of my personal favorites. One tempura shrimp card by itself is not worth any points, but if you can get a pair of them together on your plate, then that's going to be worth 5 points. Sashimi cards are similar to the tempura cards, except that you need 3 of them in order to score any points. But if you're able to get 3 sashimi cards in front of you at the end of the round, that's going to be worth 10 points. The maki roll cards are sort of a competition among the players. At the end of the round, whoever has the most maki symbols in front of them, in this case, this player would have 6 maki symbols. Whoever has the most at the end of the round is going to get 6 points. Whoever has the second most maki symbols is going to get 3 points. Anyone else who has maki symbols in front of them gets nothing. The chopsticks card is pretty much the only special ability card in the game, and it allows you to break a rule and do something special during your turn. On one turn, you will play a chopsticks card in front of you. Then, on a later turn, you can use the chopsticks card to play an additional card out of your hand. So the way it would work is that you would look through your hand and play your face down card, and then, the rules actually say this, you're supposed to say, Sushi Go! And then you play a second card out in front of you and swap it with your chopsticks card, taking the chopsticks card back into your hand. Then you can reveal the 2 cards that you played because of the chopsticks, and then the chopsticks card will end up getting passed to the player on your left or right. Once all players have played all the cards from their hand, then the round is scored, and you calculate your points from the cards that are in front of you. So in this case, this player has 5 points in tempura shrimp, because he has 2, 1 point in dumplings, only 1 dumpling card, 1 point for the egg nigiri, and it's multiplied by 3 because of this wasabi, so that's 3 points. So 3, 5, and 1, that's 9 points. Now this last card here is the only card type that I haven't talked about yet, and that is the pudding card. After you score your round, all of these cards are discarded and you start a brand new round. The only card that remains on the table is the pudding card. And this is because this is the only card that is used for endgame scoring. It's a dessert, so I guess that makes sense. And the idea is whoever has the most pudding cards in front of them at the end of the game will get 6 points. Whoever has the least number of pudding cards will lose 6 points. So that can possibly be a game changer towards the end of the game. And it's also a nice way to cleanse your palate after a good sushi meal. You play 3 rounds in this fashion, and then that's the end of the game. You add up the scores from your 3 rounds, and whoever has the highest score is the sushi master. So that is Sushi Go. As you can see, it's a very quick game, a very easy to learn game, and I think those are some of the main things that this game has going for it. And I think it's what makes it also a very good gateway game into card drafting, is that it's very easy to teach. You can teach it in just 2 or 3 minutes, and very easy to learn. And the game doesn't overstay its welcome. I think that's a lot of a problem that a lot of games have that have very simple mechanics, is that they tend to go on too long sometimes, and the fun just sort of gets sucked out of it because you just spent so long doing the same thing over and over again. In this game, it's 3 quick rounds. You're just picking a card, laying it down, and moving on to the next hand of cards. And so therefore it plays very, very quickly. And everyone that I've played this with, both gamers and non-gamers alike, have really enjoyed it and have asked to play it multiple times. So that's a good thing, but if you're a hardcore gamer, that might not be a great thing for you having people wanting to play it over and over again, because you might get a little tired of it. But that would be a perfect opportunity to kind of slide over and say, hey, why don't we try out a game like Seven Wonders next? It's really similar. And I think that it can be a really good gateway game into games like Seven Wonders or Fairy Tale or something that's a little bit more complex than that. So I think it's great for families. I played it with my kids and they've both really enjoyed it. And so I think it's one that's a really good one to put in your collection. It's inexpensive. You can throw it into your game bag, take it to family outings, gaming events, all kinds of stuff. It's definitely one that I think should be in every gamer's collection because it fills that really nice niche of being a little filler that's fun but has a little bit of strategy to it. So that is Sushi Go.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.